You have seen this verse 100 times. It is stitched onto graduation cards and printed on coffee mugs, painted above office desks, and texted to a friend the night before a big exam. For I know the plans I have for you, plans to prosper you and not to harm you. A warm little promise that everything is going to work out. The dream job, the happy ending. But the day these words were first written down, an entire nation had just been destroyed. Their city was burning. Their children were in chains. And the promise came with a number attached that would break your heart. This is the true story behind those words. To feel the weight of this verse, you have to stand in the worst year of an entire people's history. For centuries, the people of Judah had believed one unshakable thing, that God would never let their city fall. Jerusalem was his city. The temple, the holy house where heaven touched earth, stood at its heart. Surely, they told themselves, no enemy could ever breach those walls. God lived there. They were untouchable. Then came Babylon, the most powerful empire the world had yet seen, led by a king whose name still echoes through history, Nebuchadnezzar. His army swept across the region like a rising flood, swallowing kingdom after kingdom. And they came for Jerusalem. It did not happen all at once. It happened in waves, each more crushing than the last. First, Babylon marched in and carried off the treasures of the temple and the brightest young people of the nation. Princes, nobles, the educated, the gifted, dragged in chains hundreds of miles east to live in the land of their conquerors. And here is what makes this story so human. The people left behind in Jerusalem did not learn their lesson. They did not repent. Instead, they clung to a comforting lie, a lie whispered to them by a whole class of popular, smiling preachers.
Because into this catastrophe steps our main character, a prophet named Jeremiah. History remembers him as the weeping prophet, and for good reason. For 40 years, he had begged his people to turn back, to change, to see the disaster coming. And for 40 years, they had mocked him, beaten him, thrown him into a pit, and called him a traitor. His reward for telling the truth was a lifetime of rejection. Jeremiah saw clearly what everyone else refused to believe, that the city would fall, that the exile was real, and that it was not going to be over quickly. And now, with the first captives already gone and a second, even greater disaster looming, Jeremiah does something strange, something no one expected. He sits down to write a letter to the people who have already been dragged away to Babylon, a people crushed, homesick, desperate, and clinging to one dangerous hope. And what he tells them in that letter is the exact opposite of what they wanted to hear. Picture the exiles in Babylon. They have lost everything. Their homes, gone. Their farms, gone. The graves of their parents, hundreds of miles behind them. Worst of all, the temple. The one place on earth where they believed they could meet God is in the hands of pagans. They are strangers in a strange land, sitting by foreign rivers, weeping when they remember what they used to have. And in that grief, a message is spreading through the exile camps. A message that feels like water in the desert. Prophets among them and prophets back in Jerusalem are all saying the same beautiful thing. Don't unpack. Don't settle in. This is temporary. God will smash Babylon any day now, and we will all go home. 2 years maybe. Hold on. It's almost over. Back in Jerusalem, one of these prophets even has a name, Hananiah, and he is bold. He stands in the temple itself and declares that within 2 years, 2 short years, God will break the yoke of Babylon and bring back the captives and the treasures. He takes the wooden yoke Jeremiah has been wearing as a warning and he snaps it in front of everyone. The crowd goes wild. That is the message people want. Fast rescue, no pain, home by next season. Here is the trap in that beautiful lie. If you truly believe you are leaving in 2 years, you don't build anything. You don't plant. You don't invest. You sit on your suitcase, bitter and frozen, waiting for a rescue that isn't coming. And you waste your one and only life staring backward.
and Jeremiah knows it. So into this storm of false comfort, he sends his letter, and it lands like a thunderclap. Listen to what he tells these heartbroken people. He does not say, pack your bags. He says the unthinkable. Build houses and settle down. Plant gardens and eat what they produce. Marry and have sons and daughters. Find wives for your sons and husbands for your daughters, so that they too may have children. Increase in number there. Do not decrease. Read that again and feel how it must have hit them. Build houses. You don't build a house for a 2-year stay. Plant gardens. A garden takes seasons. Some trees take years to bear fruit. Get married. Have children. Watch your children have children. Jeremiah is not telling them to survive Babylon. He is telling them to live in Babylon, to grow families there, to plant roots in the very soil of their captivity. And then he says something even harder to swallow, something that must have felt almost like betrayal. He tells them to pray for Babylon. Seek the peace and prosperity of the city to which I have carried you into exile. Pray to the Lord for it, because if it prospers, you too will prosper.
Stop and imagine hearing that. Pray for the good of the empire that burned your temple? Seek the welfare of the city that enslaved your children? Every instinct screams for revenge, for curses, for the enemy's downfall. And Jeremiah says, no, pray for them. Your future is now tangled up with theirs. Their peace is your peace. This was not a message of despair, and it was not the message of easy escape the false prophets were selling. It was something far braver, a call to stop waiting for life to restart and to start living the life they actually had, right in the middle of the place they least wanted to be. But Jeremiah is not finished, and now he confronts the lie head on. He warns them plainly, do not let the prophets among you deceive you. Do not listen to the dreams they are dreaming, the ones promising a quick return, because they are prophesying lies in God's name. And then he drops the number that would have crushed every listening heart. 70 years. 70 years. Not 2, not 5, 70. That is not a delay. That is a lifetime. Do the math the way they would have. Nearly everyone hearing that letter would die in Babylon. The old men weeping by the rivers would never see Jerusalem again. Many of the parents would never go home. It was their grandchildren, a generation not yet born, who would finally walk back through the gates of the Promised Land. Think about how brutal that honesty is. The popular prophets offered 2 years and a lie. Jeremiah offered 70 years and the truth. He refused to sell them false hope, even though false hope would have been so much easier to hear. He loved them too much to comfort them with a fantasy.
And this is the moment that makes the whole story turn, because it is right here, in the middle of the worst news imaginable, right after telling them they will grow old and die in a foreign land, that Jeremiah writes the sentence that would outlive the empire, outlive the exile, and travel 3,000 years to end up on your coffee mug. He has just told them the truth is going to hurt. He has just taken away every shortcut, every fantasy of a quick rescue. And now, into that darkness, he speaks for God the words we all think we know, but have almost never understood. Because the promise that everyone treats as a guarantee of an easy, prosperous life was, in fact, spoken to people who had just been told the hardest thing they would ever hear. And that changes everything about what it actually means. Here is the surprise, and it is the heart of everything. God does not deny the 70 years. He does not soften them or take them back. Instead, he anchors a promise inside them. Listen to the full sentence in its real order, the way the exiles heard it. First, God says, when 70 years are completed for Babylon, I will come to you and fulfill my good promise to bring you back to this place. The rescue is real, but it is on the far side of a lifetime of waiting. And then, right after confirming that most of them will not live to see it, come the words, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord.
Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you hope and a future. Do you feel how different that is? This is not a promise whispered to a graduate with the whole world in front of them. This is a promise shouted into a prison. It is God looking at a shattered, exiled, hopeless people and saying, even here, even now, even in the wreckage you brought on yourselves, I have not stopped planning good for you.
In the original language, it carries the sense of an ending, a final outcome, a destination. God is not promising them a comfortable next few years. He is promising them that the story is not over, that the last chapter is not written by Babylon, that exile is not the end of the sentence. There is a period at the end of this, and it is not despair. That is the twist the coffee mugs miss entirely. This is not a promise that removes the pain. It is a promise that outlasts it. It does not say the 70 years won't happen. It says God will still be there on the other side of them. So what does a promise like that actually mean for people in a pit they cannot climb out of, and for you? To understand it, we have to read the very next thing God says, because he tells them exactly how to find him in the dark. Now, let us clear away the misunderstanding we teased at the very start. We have turned Jeremiah 29:11 into a personal vending machine for success. Frame it, memorize it, and God guarantees the promotion, the acceptance letter, the smooth and happy road. But look at who God is actually speaking to, and the whole picture changes. He is not promising these people an easy life. He has just promised them 70 hard years. He is not promising them wealth and comfort now. He is promising them that their suffering is not the end of their story, and that even in exile, he has not walked away. And here is the detail that unlocks it. Read what God says in the very next breath, because the promise does not stand alone. It comes with an instruction. God says, "Then you will call on me and come and pray to me, and I will listen to you. You will seek me and find me when you seek me with all your heart."
That is the true shape of the promise. The plans to prosper you are not a shortcut around the 70 years. They are a promise that inside the 70 years, God can be found. The exile was not the moment God abandoned them. It was, unbelievably, the place where they would finally seek him with their whole hearts and actually find him. The thing they lost, the temple, the building, the address where they thought God lived, was replaced by something they could never lose, a God who could be found anywhere, even in Babylon, by anyone who truly sought him. So when God says plans to prosper you and not to harm you, he is not promising the absence of pain. He is promising his presence in the pain. He is telling a defeated people that their disaster has a boundary, that their captivity has an expiration date, and that the God they thought they left behind in a burning temple is sitting right there with them in exile, close enough to hear a whisper. And this reframes everything about the future he promises. It was never a guarantee of the future they wanted, a quick return, revenge on Babylon, the old life restored on their timeline. It was the promise of the future he was building, slower, deeper, and better than escape. A future where a people who had lost their nation would discover they had never lost their God. That is why this verse has survived 3,000 years, not because it promises an easy life, but because it promises the one thing that actually holds when life is hard, that your suffering is not the end, that it is not wasted, and that you are not alone inside it. The real comfort was never nothing bad will happen to you. It was, even here I have plans, and even here I can be found.
So let me ask you where your Babylon is, because almost everyone is living in some version of it, a season you did not choose and cannot escape. The diagnosis, the grief that won't lift, the job you're stuck in, the marriage that's straining,
The waiting room of a life that isn't turning out the way you planned. The place you keep begging God to get you out of. And here is what this verse actually offers you. Not the cheap version, the real one. God's first word to people in exile was not, "I'll rescue you tomorrow." It was, "Build a house, plant a garden, live." Don't put your whole life on pause waiting for the season to end. Don't sit on your suitcase, frozen and bitter, while the years go by. The life you have right now, even here, even in the hard place, is still your life. Live it. Plant something. Love the people around you. Seek God where you actually are, not only where you wish you were. Because the promise was never that the pain wouldn't come. Sometimes the 70 years are real. Sometimes you don't get the quick rescue. But the promise underneath it all is unbreakable. Your exile is not the end of your story. There is a period at the end of this sentence, and God is the one who writes it. Your suffering has a boundary He has already set. And He is not waiting for you back in some old life. He is right here, in this one, close enough to hear you whisper. You will seek Him and find Him, the verse says, when you seek Him with all your heart. Not after the exile ends, in it. So don't just endure your Babylon. Look for God in it. He promised you would find Him there.
And here is the detail that should stay with you after this video ends. The empire that seemed unstoppable, Babylon, the one everyone was terrified of, is dust now, gone. But the letter a rejected, weeping prophet wrote to a handful of broken captives is still being read, still being quoted, still being clung to 3,000 years later by you tonight. The kingdom that looked all-powerful ended. The promise whispered into its prison never did. So whatever exile you are living in, don't waste it waiting. Build, plant, seek Him where you are. If this made an old, familiar verse feel new again, take 1 second to like and subscribe. It genuinely helps these stories reach the people who need them tonight. And next time, a line people quote to feel invincible. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Written, unbelievably, by a man in chains, in a prison cell, learning how to be content with almost nothing. I'll see you there.